Important news, the world is holding its breath tonight. Just a few miles from NATO's border, Russian warplanes have launched one of their most dangerous airstrikes, yet explosions lighting up the sky near Romania, sirens blaring across Ukraine's southern frontier, and NATO scrambling jets in response. This is not a distant battlefield anymore, this is Europe's doorstep, where one wrong move could ignite a conflict far bigger than anything we've seen since the Cold War. As Russian missiles pound targets along the Danube and debris reportedly lands close to Romanian villages, questions are spreading fast. Was this an accident, a warning, or the start of something much worse? Stay with us as we break down exactly what happened, how Romania has responded, and why this moment could change the course of the entire war. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Conflict Front Stories channel. Please subscribe and like my videos if you want to stay updated with the most important developments from around the world. Today, we have a major breaking story that is sending shockwaves across Europe. Reports are coming in about a powerful Russian airstrike near the NATO border, the location just miles away from Romanian territory. Tensions are rising fast and Romania has issued a strong response. This could mark one of the most dangerous moments in the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine, with NATO now watching every move very closely. Let's take a closer look at what happened, what it means, and how this could change the balance of power in the region. The story began early in the morning, when multiple explosions were reported in Ukraine's Odesa region, close to the Danube River. Local officials confirmed that Russian drones and missiles were targeting infrastructure near the border. Witnesses described flashes of light and powerful blasts that could be heard from Romanian towns across the river. For the first time in months, the attacks were so close to NATO soil that Romanian air defenses were put on high alert. Romania's Ministry of Defense quickly confirmed that the Russian attacks were taking place near the border, but assured citizens that no Romanian territory had been directly hit. However, radar data suggested that fragments of a Russian drone may have crossed into Romanian airspace before falling near a small village. Romanian authorities immediately launched an investigation, sending troops to the area and deploying air defense units as a precaution. The Romanian government released a statement condemning the Russian attacks and called them a reckless escalation. Bucharest also contacted NATO headquarters to inform them of the situation. Under NATO's Article 5, an attack on one member is considered an attack on all, but officials clarified that so far, Romania has not been directly targeted. Still, the proximity of these strikes is alarming for the entire alliance. In Brussels, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said the alliance stands ready to defend every inch of NATO territory. He emphasized that the alliance remains vigilant and that member countries have increased surveillance and air patrols in the region. Stoltenberg also warned Russia that any deliberate strike on NATO territory would have serious consequences. The message was clear: NATO is prepared, but it does not want the conflict to spill over into its borders. Meanwhile, Ukraine has accused Russia of deliberately launching attacks near the NATO border to send a message. Ukrainian officials said Moscow wants to test NATO's response and create fear among European nations. The Odesa region has been under constant attack for weeks because of its importance to Ukraine's grain exports. The Danube ports are now critical for exporting food after Russia withdrew from the Black Sea grain deal. By targeting these ports, Russia is trying to choke Ukraine's economy and send a political signal to the West. Romanian President Klaus Iohannis spoke to the media, saying that Romania will not be intimidated. He confirmed that security forces are monitoring the situation and coordinating closely with NATO allies. The president also said Romania will continue to support Ukraine with humanitarian aid and political backing. According to him, Russia's aggressive behavior only proves that the alliance must remain united and prepared. Local residents along the Romanian border described a night of fear and confusion. Some reported seeing drones flying overhead, while others took shelter after hearing explosions in the distance. Even though no Romanian towns were hit, the tension was clear. Many people worry that if Russia continues these kinds of operations, accidents or misfires could lead to a direct confrontation. In Kiev, Ukrainian officials called the attacks another sign of desperation from the Kremlin. They argued that Russia's military is running out of precision weapons and is now targeting civilian and logistical infrastructure to create panic. The Ukrainian Air Force said it shot down most of the drones, but some managed to hit targets near the border. Videos posted on social media showed warehouses burning and plumes of smoke rising into the night sky. Military analysts believe that these attacks serve multiple purposes for Russia. First, they are meant to disrupt Ukraine's supply routes. Second, they send a message to NATO countries that supporting Ukraine could have consequences. And third, they allow Russia to test Western resolve without crossing a clear red line. By staying just outside NATO territory, Moscow is trying to create pressure while avoiding a direct confrontation. Romania has been one of Ukraine's closest allies in the region. Since the start of the war, it has hosted millions of refugees and allowed the transfer of military and humanitarian supplies across its territory. The country also plays a key role in ensuring the flow of grain exports through the Danube ports. That is why any attack near its borders is not only a security concern, but also an economic one. In recent months, several incidents involving Russian drones have already been reported near Romanian territory. Each time, the government has condemned the attacks and informed NATO. However, this latest airstrike appears to be the closest one yet. Some reports even suggest that debris landed less than a kilometer from Romanian soil. While these claims are still being verified, the message from Moscow seems clear: Russia is willing to take risks. In Moscow, Russian officials defended the strikes, claiming they were targeting military facilities and fuel depots used by Ukraine. They dismissed Western accusations of recklessness and insisted that all attacks were carried out within Ukrainian territory. The Kremlin spokesperson said that Russia has no interest in provoking NATO, but will continue its military operations until its objectives are met. Despite these assurances, the international community remains alarmed. The European Union has condemned the strikes and expressed solidarity with Romania. Several European leaders, including from Poland and Germany, have called for increased NATO patrols in Eastern Europe. They argue that the closer Russian attacks get to the border, the higher the risk of an accident that could trigger a wider conflict. In Washington, U.S. officials said they are closely monitoring the situation. The Pentagon reaffirmed its commitment to Romania's defense and said American troops stationed in the country are ready if needed. However, U.S. analysts also warned against escalation. They believe both sides are walking a dangerous line, where one wrong move could ignite something far bigger than anyone intends. Inside Ukraine, the strikes near the border have caused further strain on already struggling regions. The destruction of port infrastructure means fewer exports and more pressure on the economy. Farmers and transport workers are now struggling to find safe routes for shipping grain. Ukrainian officials say they will continue rebuilding, but repeated Russian attacks are making progress difficult. Across Europe, the news of the strike has reignited debate about how far NATO should go in supporting Ukraine. Some argue that the alliance must strengthen its presence in Eastern Europe to deter Russia. Others warn that doing so could provoke Moscow further. The balance between deterrence and diplomacy remains delicate. Ordinary Romanians are also expressing mixed feelings. Many support Ukraine and believe in standing up to Russian aggression. But others worry that the war could eventually cross into their homeland. For them, every explosion across the river feels too close for comfort, Experts say this moment is one of the most dangerous in Europe since the Cold War. The geography of the conflict is changing. Russia's strikes are moving south, closer to NATO lines. Every time a missile or drone veers off course, the risk of escalation grows. NATO's strategy has been to maintain calm, avoid provocation, and respond proportionally. But the constant pressure is testing that patience. The next few days will be critical. Romania and its allies are investigating the incident and analyzing the debris found near the border. If it is confirmed that Russian drones crossed into NATO airspace, even accidentally, it could force a new round of discussions within the alliance about possible responses. So far, NATO has relied on diplomacy and deterrence, but repeated incidents could change that. Behind the scenes, diplomatic communication channels between NATO and Russia remain open, though tense. Western diplomats are urging Moscow to avoid strikes near the border areas, but there is little trust left. The Kremlin believes NATO is using Romania and other Eastern European countries to support Ukraine's war effort. That belief has made border regions more dangerous than ever. Romania's response is firm but cautious. Officials know that escalation would serve no one's interests. Instead, they are focusing on strengthening defense, monitoring airspace, and coordinating with allies. The government has also increased civil defense measures, ensuring that people living near the border are informed and protected. In Ukrainian cities, meanwhile, people are continuing with daily life despite the fear. Sirens, explosions, and uncertainty have become part of their reality. The strikes near the border are another reminder that the war is far from over and that peace remains elusive. International experts are warning that such incidents highlight how fragile the situation has become. Any miscalculation could lead to a NATO-Russia confrontation, something the world has avoided for decades. The longer the conflict continues, the greater the chance of an unintended clash. The United Nations has called for restraint and urged both sides to respect international law. The Secretary-General said attacks so close to NATO territory endanger not just Ukraine but global peace. Diplomats are working behind the scenes to calm tensions, but trust is in short supply. For now, the world watches closely as Romania and NATO assess their next steps. The situation remains tense, and every new report adds to the uncertainty. Will this airstrike mark a turning point, or will it become another dangerous episode in a long list of near misses? Only time will tell. As night falls along the Danube border, the region stays on high alert. Military radars sweep the sky, soldiers patrol riverbanks, and civilians keep a cautious eye on the horizon. The air feels heavy with tension, but also determination. Romania, like other NATO allies, knows the importance of staying calm and ready. In the coming weeks, NATO defense ministers are expected to meet to discuss air defense coordination in Eastern Europe. Some are pushing for additional radar systems, others for more joint exercises. Everyone agrees on one thing: the threat from Russia is real and growing. Even though no NATO territory was hit this time, the world understands how close it came. One wrong calculation, one stray missile, and everything could change. This reality underscores why diplomacy, communication, and caution remain essential. As this breaking story continues to develop, it's clear that Europe is standing at a crossroads. The choices made today by Russia, Romania, NATO, and Ukraine will shape the future of security across the continent. So, what happens next? Will Russia back down, or will it continue testing NATO's patience? Will NATO reinforce its eastern defenses, or will it try to de-escalate? These are questions no one can answer yet. But one thing is certain: the eyes of the world are now fixed on this small stretch of border between Ukraine and Romania. Thank you for watching this report on Conflict Front Stories. If you found this information helpful, Please subscribe and like the video. Stay tuned for further updates as we continue to follow this developing situation. Your support helps us bring you clear, factual, and timely updates from around the world. Stay safe, and see you in the next report.